Well, no. Let's shut him off. Welcome back to Coach B's studio. Today, one of the topics we're diving into is an important and deeply human concept and a social concept. It's called restorative justice. This isn't just a legal term. It's a philosophy, a process, and a pathway toward healing, accountability, and connection after harm has occurred. There's one word missing there. Functionality. Adjustment is another one. Those are linked to words you'll hear me using in my approach later on. Whether you've been on the giving or receiving end of harm, restorative justice offers us tools to move forward with integrity and hope. If you can imagine a broken bridge and envision master craftsmen coming back in to rebuild that bridge with their special developed care and skill set. So think of harm as a broken bridge between at least two people, or sometimes within yourself. Restorative justice is about rebuilding that bridge with intention, humility, and care. It's about turning pain into purpose. So what is restorative justice? There's some key words I'd like you to be aware of. Understanding impact, taking responsibility, and seeking repair. Restorative justice is a relational approach to harm. Instead of focusing solely on punishment or blame, it focuses on three key principles. Understanding the impact, recognizing how harm has affected all parties involved, taking the responsibility, not just legally or financially, but emotionally and relationally. Seeking repair and healing, finding ways, practical, symbolic, and emotional, to contribute to well-being and closure. This approach does not erase guilt or regret, but it transforms them into something meaningful. It asks, how can I turn this moment of harm into an opportunity for healing for myself, for others, and for the community? Why does restorative justice matter? When harm happens, even if unintentional, the emotional wounds often outlast the physical or financial consequences. Restorative justice matters because it provides closure by allowing genuine expressions of remorse and understanding, fosters connection by humanizing everyone involved in the process, creates a pathway for healing emotional wounds and finding peace. So whether you're carrying guilt for something you regret, or you've been hurt by someone else's actions, this process allows space for humanity to be seen, to be heard, and to move forward. So how can it look in practice? Restorative justice isn't one size fits all. It can take many forms depending on what feels right and accessible in your situation. Let's explore a few pathways. A facilitated conversation between the person who caused harm and the person who was harmed. That's restorative dialogue. These conversations, when both parties are open, can create profound understanding and closure. The reflection question: is there someone you wish you could have had or could have an honest, mediated conversation with? Number 2, personal reflection in letters. Writing a letter of remorse, accountability, or hope, whether or not it's ever sent, can be deeply healing. Words do have power. Sometimes writing them down helps release emotional weight. Here's the reflection question. If you could write a letter, what would you want to say? Number 3, community contribution. Volunteering or contributing to a cause connected to the harm caused. For example, supporting a safety initiative after an accident or mentoring others who've experienced similar situations. How could you transform your guilt or regret into meaningful action? Number 4, journaling, meditation, and guided exercise focused on self-compassion. Reminding yourself that remorse is a sign of integrity. But endless guilt serves no one. What would it feel like to offer yourself the same compassion you'd offer a close friend? Each of these pathways carries its own weight and meaning. The important thing is to choose the one that feels right for you. Guilt versus remorse, the emotional landscape. There's an important distinction for us to make. Guilt says, I am a bad person. Remorse says, I regret what happened and I want to make things right. What a liberating distinction. Many of us get trapped into the guilt complex of assigning the meaning that we're bad people. It's not necessary. You can be remorseful without the guilt. Restorative justice invites us to step out of the endless cycle of guilt and into the productive space of remorse and repair. Your feelings of regret don't make you weak. They make you human, and they can be the starting point for transformation. Number 5, reflection challenge, moving towards healing. This week, I invite you to reflect on these prompts. What aspects of your experience still feel unresolved? Which restorative pathway, dialogue, reflection, community action, or self-forgiveness feels most aligned with where you are right now? Write one sentence of self-compassion you can repeat to yourself daily. Remember, healing is not a straight path, and it's okay to ask for support along the way. Now let's take a look at restorative justice and nature in metaphorical lens. Envision a forest just starting to regenerate after a fire, a river flowing around rocks, and a broken tree regrowing branches. Nature teaches us so much about restorative justice. A forest can heal after a fire. A river flows around obstacles, finding its way. A broken tree branch can grow new leaves. Healing doesn't mean returning to what was. It means growing into what can be. I think we should repeat that and work on that definition. Healing doesn't mean returning to what was. It means growing into what can be. So here's a takeaway challenge. Take one small step toward healing this week. Write, reflect, volunteer, or simply sit with your emotions and offer yourself compassion. Remember, you are more than your mistakes. You're capable of growth, repair, and renewal. Finally, Alfred Adler's writings emphasize personal responsibility, growth, and the importance of community and connection, all of which align beautifully with the principles of restorative justice. Here are some meaningful quotes from Adler's works that can add depth to your script. On responsibility and moving forward, Adler said in his book, Understanding Human Nature, we cannot say that what has happened to a person in the past determines their future. It is not the experiences of life that cause us to suffer, but our judgment about them. This quote reminds us that while we cannot change the past, we can control how we respond, heal, and grow from our experiences. Another quote is on personal growth and healing from his book, What Life Should Mean to You. The truth is often a terrible weapon of aggression. It is possible to lie and even to murder with the truth. But if truth is told with compassion, it can serve as a powerful tool for healing. In restorative justice, truth and accountability are essential, but they must be delivered with compassion to create space for healing rather than deepen harm. From his book, The Science of Living, on guilt and contribution, guilt should not confine us to our mistakes. It should serve as a stepping stone to something better, a bridge to continue to the greater good. And this one captures the essence of transforming guilt into meaningful action, a core principle of restorative justice. And again, in Understanding Human Nature, the feeling of community is the true goal of all human striving. Restorative justice emphasizes repairing the relational damage caused by harm, ultimately restoring a sense of connection and community. Here's one from the great book, The Courage to Be Disliked, which is based on Adler's principles. Courage is not the absence of despair. It is rather the capacity to move forward despite despair. Moving through restorative justice requires courage to face harm, take responsibility, and seek connection despite the emotional weight. And finally, from What Life Should Mean to You, a person's life is shaped by their goals, not their past. Our future depends on the courage to change rather than the guilt of what has been. This highlights the restorative justice principle that healing focuses on transformation and future action rather than staying trapped in guilt. I hope that you found these quotes which emphasize different aspects of restorative justice, responsibility, community, healing, courage, and forward movement from Adler to connect my therapeutic orientation and to open your eyes to possible bibliotherapeutic readings like Adler's works. Finally, I want to thank you for joining me today at Coach B's studio. Restorative justice reminds us that even in our deepest regrets, there must be a pathway forward. If today's session resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comment below. And as always, grow, connect, and thrive one story at a time.